Greetings, campers, and welcome to the latest in our TELUS webinar series, Seasonal Resiliency and Surviving the Holiday Season. My name is Scott Walker. I'm the Executive Director of the Canadian Artists Network, CAN, and it's a pleasure once again to welcome artists from right across Canada to today's webinar. Let's start by acknowledging that we live, work, travel, and create on the traditional territories of Indigenous peoples who have cared for this land, now called Canada, since time immemorial. We acknowledge this as part of our covenant with all Indigenous nations to share, respect, and protect the land in the spirit of peace and friendship, and to honor the future generations of all our nations. Well, we are soon to be deluged with holiday music and decorations and commercials. They've already started, of course. Cards and letters and that sort of thing. It's a joyous time of year, but for many it can be very, very stressful. There are undertones and sometimes even overtones of stress in the holidays. And we're going to try and set you up to experience the best of the holiday season and the several months to come, where it is cold and often very gloomy. Seasonal resiliency and how to survive the holidays. As you listen to our expert today, questions may occur to you. So we ask you to put them in the Q&A box, and we'll try and get to as many of them as possible. And please keep them as brief as possible. Our special guest is a member of our community, the CAN community of artists. She is an actor, producer, member of Toronto's Act 3 Theatre Collective, and a former co-chair of the Act Your Age Committee at ACTRA Toronto. In addition to all of that, she's also a clinical social worker, psychotherapist, certified mindfulness meditation coach. Please welcome Jory Morrow.
Thank you, Scott. And hello, amazing artists from across the country. I just want to say I'm thrilled to be here with you all. I'm in Toronto, Tekaronto. And as I look out my window, what I see is gray and gloomy. We are in winter and we are now entering together into the darkness. And I'm hoping that during this presentation webinar this afternoon, we can find just a little bit of light together in this community. Maybe a few things to help us cope. I know many of us think of winter as, good, bad, difficult. And I just want to invite you this afternoon to try your best to shift and change those descriptors to maybe embracing winter a little bit if we can, maybe looking at it from a slightly different perspective. Perhaps it's a time to slow down, reflect, and rest. I have so much to share with you typically, and before we get started, I'd like to read a poem to you just to condition the mind a little bit towards wintering. I think we need to get better at wintering. And I'm going to read a poem to you. And as I read the poem, if we may have that slide, please, Scott, I'd like you to think to yourself of three or four words that might be more positive in terms of what comes to mind and as you relate to winter. Here we go. Winter, Canadian winter. The snow came down and whirled around and grew and grew and grew. We scraped and blew and shoveled, but were helpless to undo. The snow we cleared made piles like a rocky mountain range. And then it rained swift rivers. Nature thought we needed a change. The rain will wash away the snow, was what we had in mind. But slush was over our boot tops. Nowhere to run could find. The temperatures dropped, and you could say, we were really in a rut. More snow and freezing rain to come. The weatherman's words did cut. As long as my home is cozy warm, the weather I'll take on the chin. For, after all, I'm Canadian and bear winter with a grin. Joan Adams Burchell. just a little narrative to get us kind of into the mindset of wintering. I have a lot to share. I'm going to invite you to please take notes if you can. You can always refer back to the recording. This is being recorded in case you miss some information. I think what I'd like to really invite you to do is take care of yourself. If you need to take a break, you need to stretch, you need to stand up. It's a long time to sit down. Please do so. Another thing is this webinar in no way is going to cover everything. And I just want you to consider it an opportunity for, I guess, what I would describe as touchstones or further exploration. Some of this will be new to you, and for others, it'll be a refresher. So whatever works for you, great. Whatever you resonate with, that's wonderful. Other things you may want to park, and some things you can just throw away. All right, may we please have the next slide on today's landscape. So everything we're going to talk about, or I'm going to talk about this afternoon, is really about looking at wellness. I'm going to be guiding us through a few practices, and any of the mindful practices I'm doing, I just want to respectfully acknowledge that they come from ancient Eastern traditions. But for the purpose of today, I will be looking at it from a secular perspective and from a clinical wellness perspective. I hope that people are familiar with the word mindfulness. If not, we'll take a look at that. And I think one of the images that I would like you to consider throughout is, I think of our emotional landscape, our experiential landscape as a mosaic, as a quilt. And half of the quilt is all the things that are difficult feelings, difficult emotions, thoughts, body sensations, the stuff that is hard for us. The other half of the quilt is all the goodness, the joy, the love, the happiness, feeling excited about life. You know, just keep that in mind as an image, because today I'm really going to try and get us to stop and take a breath and lean into the half of the mosaic that's a little bit more pleasurable, more rewarding, hopefully. I'm going to get us started right away. You can see with the landscape that we're looking at that we're going to look at a number of different things. So resiliency, absolutely. I'm going to guide us through the stop practice, which is something that you can do throughout your day to create more space and more opportunity to reflect. We're going to look at the heal practice, again, leaning into the goodness, if you will. It's a guided practice. We'll have a little stretch break. Then we're going to look at tips for the holiday season. I'll be guiding us through a self-compassion break, which is very important during the winter months and during the holidays. We'll be looking at building your internal support network, another guided practice or reflection, finishing with listening, and then a few resources that I'll be able to share with you. So let's get started. I will ask that we bring up, please, Scott, the stop slide. Stop. So stop is a guided practice. It's an acronym. It has many benefits. I'll start with that. It helps us to drop out of automatic pilot. We're all rushing around, especially during the holidays, from one task to another, sometimes multitasking. And this practice enables us to stop and literally put the brakes on whatever we're doing. It gives us a chance to be peaceful, calm, hopefully, a chance to reflect. It builds tolerance for challenges and difficult situations. It helps us to self-regulate. Sometimes we're rushing so much that we miss the goodness. We miss the moments in life that enrich our life and give us satisfaction, that other half of the mosaic quilt that I mentioned. It's just an opportunity for us to really pay attention to the gems that come our way. And there are lots of things out there and within us that can give us a great deal of satisfaction. So if you'll indulge me, I'm going to ask you to just take an easeful kind of resting back, if you will. If you're sitting in a chair, sit back in your chair. If you're lying down, that's fine. If you're standing, it's all good. You can do this um, wherever you find yourself. I'm going to also ask you to maybe pay attention to your posture, right? Pay attention to your posture. And what are your hands doing? Maybe make a decision around where you want to place your hands. For this practice, you can have your eyes closed if that makes it that much more available to you. Or you can do what's known as soft eyes, which is casting your eyes down to the ground, to the floor, maybe about a foot in front of your feet. And I'm going to start with asking you to take a nice, nourishing, easeful breath, wherever that's available to you, either in the chest or in the abdomen. Just a nice breath. And now that you've taken a centering breath, we'll start with the first letter, which is S. And S is for stop. Stop what you're doing. Stop whatever is going on, just for a moment. Maybe you want to stop a certain task you're engaged in, or you want to stop an internal process. So you may be finding yourself rushing thinking thoughts or swiftly moving. You're planning, you're organizing, you're anticipating. And so the S is just for simply stop. And now that you've stopped, whatever you're doing, you're going to do T. And T is for take a breath. Just take a deep breath. Once we take a breath, we are more mindful. It drops us into the present moment. After we take a breath, we go to O, and O is for observe. So you're observing what is happening right now. What is going on? And you can ask yourself those questions. What is happening in my thoughts, my feelings? What's happening in the body? You just want to get a bit of an inventory in terms of, what's going on, what's happening, and creating some space to rest and reflect and go inward. And then P. Now that you've stopped, taken a breath, observed, P is for proceed into your next moments, the next moments of your day, hopefully with more awareness and a little bit of lightness, perhaps. You've had a little bit of a rest. So that's the stop practice. You can do that pretty much anywhere. You can do that in waiting rooms. You can do that if you're on hold, you're in meetings, you're about to go into an appointment of some kind. It's a practice that you can do 20 times a day. You can do it on public transit. I mean, you may not want to close your eyes. You can do soft eyes. You can do it if you're in a meeting, you're with other people. They really don't know what you're doing. So this should move quickly. And it's something that, as I said, you can do as many times as you like. And it's got a touch of mindfulness to it, which is always helpful, especially during the holidays. Okay, moving on. Please, may we have the resiliency slide? Thank you. Okay, so resiliency. Resiliency is something that is defined in many different ways. Maybe some words come to mind like strength, perseverance, determination. And as artists, we certainly understand and appreciate and have a sense of what those words mean. Is it innate or is it acquired? It's both. So there's lots of debate on this. We are born certainly with a certain inheritability, a permanent personality structure. Some are more extroverted, introverted. Some people are, calmer than others. Others are more excitable, anxious, depressive, and so forth. There are genetic factors. However, and we know these words now, they're part of the mainstream, is there is the neuroplasticity of the brain. And what does this mean? It means that we can learn and we keep learning and we keep growing and our brains and our minds evolve. And it is possible to continue to learn new skill sets build strengths right up until, right into and through the lifespan. So I'm going to walk us through some of these strengths that build resiliency, and we'll just follow this together. So the first one is mindfulness. And mindfulness is defined very simply as present moment awareness, moment by moment, to whatever arises. Now, it sounds easy, but for any of you who've ever practiced mindfulness, it's not that easy. So it's, again, something you want to incorporate as much as you can throughout your day. It's become part of our mainstream. They're now taking it into prisons and schools and hospitals. And I'm happy to hear to some arts-based organizations. It's not for everyone, and it certainly isn't for the highly anxious, people who are actively engaged in some kind of crisis, distress. If there's instability, then I highly suggest that you ask for professional help. People who are very restless will find mindfulness extremely frustrating. So there's not a lot of rules around this. I certainly don't coach for a rigid kind of practice. If you need to walk, you can do a mindful walk. You can be standing, you can be sitting. You can do mindful movement, mindful yoga, dance, tai chi. There's many different forms now to introduce mindfulness into your life. You can do it on your own, or you can do it with a group. There's tons of online resources. In my experience, there's an open mindfulness meditation you can do where you're just, thoughts are arising, experiences, sensations are arising, and then you let them pass. You can also engage with what we're doing today, which is guided practices. And I would highly recommend, if you're a restless, kind of fidgety person, that guided meditations are probably best for you. You can introduce mindfulness in any task, washing your hands, doing the dishes, any kind of activity. And the way to be more mindful, even eating, drinking a beverage, is to slow down and break it up into chunks and breathe into it. And immediately, as I mentioned, as soon as you breathe and take a deep breath, you are dropping into the present moment, and you are becoming more aware. So slow it down, break an activity into chunks, and breathe into it. I'm going to ask that you entertain a little offering today, and that is that you deliberately focus during this winter holiday season on the things that you enjoy as best you can. So it may be music, it may be specific food that you enjoy, a friend you're looking forward to seeing, whatever it is that you enjoy. I'm going to invite you to pay attention to that. Okay, next strength is learning. And learning, again, going back to that neuroplasticity of the brain, is always possible. The brain is malleable, changeable, and it can develop in new pathways. We can acquire new habits, and we can expand on the ones that are still working for us, but we can make them stronger. Practice is very important. I'm going to suggest that any practices that we do today or that you explore later, you do them when you're feeling safe and you're feeling calm, so that when things get chaotic, when the holidays spin around us, when the winter spins around us, that those practices to calm us and de-escalate and help with self-regulation are very, very easy to find. Try something new in terms of learning. Take yourself out of your comfort zone. Studies show, for example, that if you already play piano, let's say, that's great, that's beautiful, but learn how to play a different style of music, perhaps. That will make your brain work harder and it will be more challenging. Have a curious brain. Walk home a different route, do things differently, look at things in a new way. I was reading that people who do crosswords, for example, every morning, fantastic, but the brain adapts really quickly. So now they're saying, do a different word game, do a different brain exercise to stimulate and challenge. And I'm going to say this, I say this all the time to people: notice improvements. Always notice improvements, even incremental little improvements. Otherwise, we give up. And we're beginners. And if we're learning something new, it's really important. I also say notice improvements in pretty much all parts of our life, because it's so easy to be hard on ourselves and get stressed and give up. And so that's something, if you remember one thing I say today, it's notice improvements. All right, number 3 is grit. I love that word, grit. It reminds me of my parents, or maybe grandparents for others. And grit, again, words come to mind similar to resiliency, is strength, perseverance, sustained effort, seeing something through to the end, overcoming obstacles, problem solving, and determination. And artists, of course, know know very much, are very familiar with determination and overcoming obstacles. The weather, the stormy winter weather, can be real, or it can be a metaphor for us, that we don't give up and that we adapt as best we can. Again, it's seeing a situation in a different way, if we can adjust. Grit is resourcefulness. It's a sense of, I've got these things that I can lean on. If not, I can network and build community like this one. And we are hardwired as humans to connect. We are hardwired for it. It's something that we need to survive. So we need to build community as much as possible, and build that solid core in chaos, right? In the chaos, or in the sense that we can stand tall and we can get through this. There's lots of personal agency. I'm a senior. I have a lot of experience now. I can lean in on that experience and renew and refresh myself in terms of what was it I did right? How can I learn from that? How can I move forward? Sustained effort. And the good news about grit is it improves with age. And we just get better. We just hopefully get better and better at it. So that's all good news. Grit is so much more available to us if we maintain healthy habits. So, of course, diet, sleep habits, exercise, and once again, social connections. I really can't emphasize that more. Number 4 is acceptance. Radical Acceptance by Tara Brach, one of my favorite books. And her approach to acceptance is that we look at things as they are, right in front of us. Mindfulness helps us with that as well. If we can do that, we will then intervene sooner than later and hopefully avert a crisis. Things won't fall apart and deteriorate as quickly. And maybe we can then learn and adapt and adjust, or resist. Sometimes something's in front of us and we need to resist it and resist it quickly. So what I say to people, a nice little phrase is breathe and pivot. Breathe and pivot. The other thing I want to share with you regarding acceptance, when we're facing a difficulty or we're facing a challenge, there's really only 3 things we can do. We really only have 3 choices. We can accept, we can change, or we can walk away. And an example I use is a job. Let's say, you're in a job that you really don't like. It's kind of crappy, and you can accept the job and look at it from the point of view of, well, it gives me, income, or it gives me other benefits, social, whatever. And so there's other benefits, and I can stick with this and I can accept it. Or you can change it. You can change departments, you can change projects, talk to your manager, whatever. Or if that doesn't work, then you walk away and you find another job perhaps. So really, this is something that I tell people all the time: accept, change, or walk away. The other one, just coming up, 5 is gratitude. I also love that word, gratitude. I know it's cliche. We hear about it all the time, but there are real benefits. There are studies that show, especially during the holiday season, that if we can think of 3 things, perhaps, that we're grateful for, morning or evening, that there are true benefits. Some people keep a journal, some people write things down. If you can say it out loud to yourself or even someone else, even better. Um, it breaks the cycle of what is known as brooding rumination, which we all get caught up in, every one of us. That's the cascading spiraling of negativity, complaining, feeling, that sense of, oh, this is such, it's so hard, I can't do this. Gratitude will help us hopefully climb out of that, or at the very least, it breaks the cycle of that type of thinking. It can increase empathetic joy. We can be happy then for the people that we love and that love us. We can be happy for those people and their achievements and the things that bring them well-being, which is a beautiful feeling. It's outward focusing. It takes us out of the claustrophobia of our own mind, and it brings us outward, and we begin to think of others and different things in our life that fill us up and bring us a lot of wholesomeness. Gratitude leads to physical, mental health, and well-being. Number 6, moving along, is success stories, another strength for resiliency. So I don't need to say too much about this, but we know that society, the world, can beat us up, and life is very hard. As Scott mentioned in the introduction, this is a time of year that isn't always great for people. It can be very challenging and very lonely. And we know this. And if we're following the news and the global events of the day, then we are probably experiencing to some degree an existential depression and a certain level of anxiety. And I think that that's normative. I think that's to be expected. So yeah, we live in a very fractious world. And I think success stories, which is something I often give people to do, and I invite you to do this after this webinar in your own time, is to counterbalance some of these distressing events. We also have our own critical voices that happen, and this is an internal process where we've internalized the voices of adults or people in our past, and that's another discussion. But artists can feel disappointment, rejection. We know that, emotional pain, vulnerabilities. We can feel energetically depleted, and as I said, lonely. So 3 success stories is what the invitation is. 3 success stories, and you get to define what success is. So it can be from different parts of your life, these stories, or 3 stories within the same part of your life, maybe as an artist. And it's going to be a counterbalance to all the other things, the mountain of adversity that we can face in life. These positive success stories will build you up. They're uplifting. And we know that the more negative stories within our personal life in the world can tear us down, can wear us down. So when you do your success stories, details, sensory details, lots of, who, what, where, when, why, and the learnings that come out of it. What was it about the story that you feel exceptionally proud of or good about? How does it lift you up? These are very important. I have clients that, and I do this for myself, where you can keep a feel-good book, And in that book, you would put your success stories, you would put notes to yourself or from others, cards that you receive, mindful moments. You might want to write about a mindful moment that happened to you in your day, pictures that maybe make you feel good, and have it accessible so that you can look at it on those days that aren't going so well, that we all have, and that you feel kind of low about. Okay, moving along. 7, courage. And this is, I believe it's 3 parts. So we have courage, take thoughtful risks, find your voice, know what is important to you, know what matters to you, find your community, your people. It could be arts, again, a creative circle, a faith-based community, social, political activism, a certain cause you believe in. These things will all give us more courage, enable us to feel stronger. Expand on trusted individuals in your network. Build your networks, build resiliency as best you can. I also would say courage is also attached to this need in humans for I would novelty, change, stimulation. So shake things up. You want to restore, you want to renew, you want to just feel refreshed, right? And have the courage to look at things that are slightly different. And the winter is a wonderful opportunity, a great time to do that. And congratulate yourself if you do try something new and you do show up and you are present. Don't forget that. That's very, very important, whatever it is. Aspirations, hopes, dreams, opportunities. So remember this too. Another thing you can remember after today, it's the small things that count. So you showed up, you got out of bed, you went outside, you said yes. You said yes to this life. And that will build hopefully some motivation and some stimulation for you. Boredom can be very stressful as well. So having something to look forward to, having some type of built-in opportunity or something that you're dreaming for is very beneficial. Generosity. So U of T did a survey a while back, and they were surveying people who volunteer time, resources, or knowledge, and versus people who don't. And what they discovered is that the people who volunteer are 40% happier than the people who don't. That they thoroughly enjoy the experience, they enjoy giving without reciprocity, and even more so if it's anonymous, and with no expectations. So it's a win-win situation that you help someone, you've helped yourself, because we are interconnected. We are. So generosity, donate, social activism, volunteer, give somebody your smile, give yourself a chance to stop for a moment and connect with someone. Give them your face, a nod, perhaps, within safe boundaries. Be good to yourself. The generosity should start with you. Being good to yourself is not selfish. Being good to yourself is being good to the world. Number 8, one of my favorites, is refuge. Refuge. Know where to find those safe spaces in your life that are protected, that feel nurturing, calm, peaceful, restful, definitely restful. These are the spaces, this is the refuge that will give you the strength to carry on and prepare you for the next journey in life. So examples might be art making. For some of you, your art making may be a refuge, whatever that is. It may be a warm beverage of choice that you start your day with. It may be a book after a very long day. Could be a cozy sweater, a blanket, a favorite coffee shop that might be quiet and peaceful. I threw in museum and art galleries because I personally find those spaces very meditative and calm. And again, they take me they take me to another world and get me out of my own sort of frame of mind, and are beautiful. Pictures might be a refuge. Plants are precious. Pets are often a refuge. And as so many people tell me, nature is a refuge, and it can be very, very inspiring. If you don't have a refuge that you can identify, I would say then maybe use your memory, your sense memory, to remember a refuge, a time of refuge. Maybe that was a person, place, or thing. Or I would encourage you to make these kinds of things happen for yourself and explore that and find out what you can use to give yourselves a chance to regenerate and to restore. 9, calm. Asking yourself simply, what comforts you? What do you need right now to feel calmer? How can you acquire this? It is a human need to know how to relax. It's a human need. And Sometimes it's a matter of you need to eat something, you're hungry, or you need to take a nap, or you need to bring more lightness in your life and more laughter, have some fun. It could be exercise, it could be more stimulation. What will help you to calm down and ground yourself? You may just simply notice little moments of satisfaction and breathe and lean into that goodness. Stay with it, notice it, and seek out the pleasurable activities throughout your day and notice again what you're enjoying. Another piece to this calming process is nurturing your inner supportive voice. So some people think of it as self-talk, and it could be a statement like, I'm here for myself. I stand up for myself. Calming. And number 10, reframe, challenge your perspective. I read a study recently about Norway, Norwegians, some of the happiest people in the world. And they have a really stark winter, and I think they get less sunlight than we do. And they have this whole thing about embracing winter and looking at it as an opportunity to hibernate and to get quiet and peaceful and allow things to germinate within, and all kinds of really uh, positive attitudes. And they're really good at wintering. So I took some refuge, if you will, and inspiration from that study. So it's really about reframing and challenging our perspective about winter, if we can, if we can. I know people who start dreading winter before it even starts happening, and I ask them to kind of try and change the channel on that and really kind of watch the words they use to describe winter, because they have a very powerful effect on us. So we can be open-minded and open-hearted. And that is one thing we can control. We can control our mindset. We can control our energy, how we spend our energy, our spare time, our hobbies, our interests. We can control, again, the words we tell ourselves. I learn what I believe as I hear myself speak. I learn what I believe as I hear myself speak. So the words we tell ourselves about ourselves, each other, and the world, and winter have a big influence. Environments, circumstances, not so much. These things swirl around us like the sleet and the snow and the rain, and hopefully we stay standing. Watch your cognitive distortions. So that is black and white thinking. Winter's all or nothing. It's good or bad. Catastrophizing, over dramatizing. And if the negativity starts to creep in, like all the yes buts, just breathe into that. Breathe into that. Use the stop practice, right? And help yourself to create more space around that. And a quote here, you are the sky and everything else is the weather. Pema Chodron. What she means is we can have open sky awareness as the weather continues to move and shape and transition around us. We can be stable and we can be grounded and we can find wholesomeness as we move forward. And that's resiliency. Thank you. Let's move on now, please, Scott, to the next slide, which is a practice that I'm going to encourage everyone to take a look at with me. And it's called HEAL. It's another acronym. It comes from the book Hardwiring Happiness by Rick Hanson. Also, the resiliency strengths that I was following with you is also from one of his books. I'm a big fan, Rick Hanson, called Resilient. So the HEAL practice. Yeah, I think this is something, again, that encourages us to look at that other half of the mosaic, the goodness, the rewarding, the pleasurable in life. So we'll start with sitting back if you can, or lying back, whatever works for you. Yeah, and I'm going to ask you to come up with an example of a beneficial experience. You can sit back and engage in a sort of meditative posture, if you will, very relaxed. I don't want any stress on anybody's body. And again, make a decision about your eyes, closed or soft eyes, and really paying attention to where your feet land and the contact points with the chair or the floor or wherever you may be. And start with a nice, easeful, deep breath. And this acronym is HEAL. So H is for have. Have a beneficial experience. This can be from your life. It can involve, again, other people. It can have images. It can be a conversation. And ideally, you would practice this in real time. But if a beneficial experience isn't available to you right now, you can recreate it, relive it through your memory. So you're going to create a beneficial experience for yourself. It could be the sun came out. It could be something delicious you just ate. It could be something that someone said to you, something nice. It could be music or bird song, but you're going to go looking for it. You're going to look for it. You're going to pay attention to it. The more we start paying attention to beneficial experiences, the more we have, and the better it is to integrate that and really let yourself feel good. And now that you've recreated your beneficial experience or pleasant experience, the next letter is E for enrich this experience, enhance it, if you will. And you can use adjectives like beautiful, stunning, soft, glowing, sweet. Enhance the experience as much as you can and stay with it. Really feel it, really lean into it and let it linger and occupy your mind. Ask yourself, what is so good about this experience? Sometimes it's the smallest, simplest things that can have an unexpected effect or transformation. It's called the law of the little things. And now we move on to A, which is absorb it. Absorb this beneficial experience. Really fully receive it. Engage all your senses. Take your time and breathe into the experience, maybe about 10 seconds. Allow it to sink in. If it helps, use labeling techniques again, like warm or golden, enveloped. Use your imagination. If images help, use images. Really enjoy it. And finally, we have L for link. This is an optional piece. You're going to link this experience to something that may need a little soothing, right? You can use it to soothe, to replace, to challenge some difficulty. This is new psychological material. It will help you create space for both, I guess, negative experiences with this positive one. They can sit side by side. And hopefully with practice, the positive experiences in the foreground of your mind and the negative one recedes. And it's about honoring both. Again, that mosaic, that quilt. For some people, if they practice quite a bit, there's this sense of replacing the negative experience. And that takes a lot of practice. But it's for you to try and explore in your own time. And when you're ready, if your eyes are closed, you can come back to the screen. So our human brain is always trying to protect us with the ability to constantly survey the environment and frame harmful experiences. We're always looking for threat or danger in our environment to keep us safe, which makes sense. It's also known as the negative confirmation bias. However, it can get stuck and we can be stuck there. So this heal practice enables us to see again all the goodness, all the jewels, all the things in our life that enrich our life. It's to build those positive experiences up, turn the volume up on that, so that we don't get worn out. It's not forced cheerfulness or positivity. This is not about denialism. We instinctively, I think, know the difference, right? It's not about minimizing or invalidating people's experiences. And it certainly isn't about taking over what we need to attend to. And it's not about hyper individualism. I'm not saying it's all on you as an individual to fix everything. I'm hoping that this kind of practice lands us in a realistic zone where we can navigate difficulty a little bit more skillfully. So, yeah, and one last thing is this sense and savor. And I'm not going to practice this with you, but I'll describe it. Sense and savor, one of my personal favorites, is if you're out in nature or you're looking out the window and you see something that grabs your attention that is beautiful. It could be something you hear, something you see, uh, just or a sensation like the sun shining on your skin, whatever. I want you to stop, and it's like the heal practice. You stop, you breathe it in, use your adjectives, breathe it in, absorb it for about 10 seconds, and then you move on until something else grabs your attention that's beautiful. And then you can again do that heal where you are experiencing it, you're enhancing it, and you're leaning into it. Sense and savor. And Scott, please bring up the tips for surviving the holiday season. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm going to go through this fairly quickly, and hopefully you can stay with me. If not, again, there is going to be an opportunity to look at the recording and look at the slides. So tips for the holiday season, however you may celebrate, whatever you may celebrate or not. So number one, be selective. Be selective. You don't have to go to all the special events if you don't want to. Just say yes to the things that you want to do. I think that's very important. Yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory. Two, distract, distract, distract. So what do I mean by that is sometimes, we just don't want to deal with everything and we don't have to. And so I say mindfully, deliberately, with intention, distract yourself. If you want to watch a good movie, your favorite holiday movie, watch it. If you want to read a book, if you want to distract yourself with, something else, like, or you need laughter, you want to go shop, like whatever you need to do. I'm a fan of that. Again, mindfully and not to excess. But I really think distraction is a good coping mechanism. It is a tool for us. And I think it's a good tip to try and survive some of the stimulation coming our way as well, as Scott described earlier. Find your joy. Number three, find your joy. What makes you feel happy about the holidays? It's really important to know what that is. I mean, it could be the lights, the music, the food, the gatherings, a certain person you're looking forward to seeing this time of year. It might be the opportunity to just go for a quiet walk in the snow if you have snow. It's just, yeah, like just really find what makes you happy about it. Give yourself something to look forward to. Make some plans. Have people over. Go out. Meet that friend for a coffee. Whatever it is that makes you feel like you can anticipate something fun, right? And don't forget fun. We underestimate fun. Don't forget that. Five is routines. So the holidays can derail us. We know this, and derail our routines. Humans need routines. We need our routines. Routines help us to get things done. Routines also psychologically make us feel like life is a little bit predictable. It helps us with stability and with boundaries. So routines are very important. So the typical healthy eating, sleeping routines, exercise, etc. Number 6, moderation. This isn't new for any of us, but moderation with food, of course, and with alcohol consumption, if that's your thing, or with spending. I mean, this is a time of year where there's a lot of stress and a lot of pressure, and there's a lot of hardship right now. We know that, and it's very, very hard for people to be surrounded by a culture that is full of consumerism and commodification. So really try your best to think in moderation within your own personal limits. Be realistic. Number 7, there is no ideal holiday. There is no ideal family. And this is not Hallmark. This is not Rockwell. In the real world, we are expected to do a lot, and we're hard on ourselves. And I think if we can be realistic about outcomes or our expectations, we'll be better off for that. 8, know what to avoid. I think I put family in there. Be a good Canadian hockey player. So what do I mean by that? Know what to avoid. Like if you're at family gathering, we all know this, family gatherings, whatever, there are topics that are safe and topics that aren't. There are people that, are more likely to engage in a confrontation or whatever. We all have this in our life. Maybe it's at work, a variety of places. So know how to, you know, like skate around, right? Skate around things and be a really, really good hockey player. Know who's the goalie, who are the people. I have the post been moved? Like what's the deal, right? And be a really good skater. Number 9, stay connected always, either online or in person. This is beautiful that we can do this through Canadian Artists Network. But I will say in person is also really beneficial. We experience each other on many different levels. I don't think we can even articulate them all. And I think in person is so nourishing with, select people. Number 10, guilt-free holiday. I wrote that and I thought, is there such a thing? Anyway, I give you permission. Jory gives you permission to, you don't want to send cards this year. You don't want to put up a tree. You don't want to, you can do so guilt-free. Guilt is a pretty useless emotion, except it'll make us do the right thing sometimes, right? Like if we need to visit someone or, we want to go see someone in the hospital or whatever, and we don't feel like it, we'll do it because it's the right thing to do and we want to. So anyway, guilt-free holiday. 11, don't be alone if you don't want to be. Get back out into the community. There are community events throughout the holidays, charitable events, can volunteer. There's quite a number of people, I understand, that go to the movies during the holiday season because they're with other humans, seeing a movie together. That makes sense. Number 12, say no. No is a complete sentence. You don't have to justify, you don't have to explain, you don't have to go into any detail if you don't want to. You have the right to say no and protect what's valuable to you, which is your time and your energy, right? So you can turn some invitations down if that feels right. You can say no to certain activities. It is a complete sentence. 13, ask for help. Ask for help. There's no harm in that. There's no shame. There's no stigma. If you need help decorating, cooking, shopping, whatever, ask for help. Quite often people want to help. And I'm also going to say that support, know who to go to for the right kind of support. I think of support in 3 categories. It's emotional support. So you need to know who those people are in your life. It's practical support or instrumental support. Those are the people that will help you grocery shop or fix something in your home or help you to move or whatever you need to do. And there is the type of support, I'm not even sure what to call it, but it's like when you need to laugh and you need to forget about your troubles. And this is the person that you would go shopping with or you would hang out with because they just feel good. It's fun to be with them. That's another type of support. So know who to go to for that. Don't go to a dentist, for example, for a backache, right? It's the same idea. Finally, be really good to yourself. There are a lot of people who may be going through a grief period right now. And it's really hard. Like, it's very, very hard to navigate that. So be extraordinarily good to yourself and know that it has to start with you. It has to start with you. Okay, on that note, we'll go on now, and I'm going to lead us through what is known as the self-compassion break. This is based on the work of Christian Neff, one of my, I just think she's wonderful. I've done a lot of training with her, and she is very, very good with her online resources. You can download her guided meditations. And she's written a book called Radical Self-Compassion. Oh, yes. The other thing I want to mention is, sorry, I'm backtracking for a minute. A client of mine actually just told me about grief yoga. You may have heard this. It's free, it's online, it's YouTube. If you're able to do this, apparently it's very good. I can't stand by it. I haven't done it, but I don't want to forget to mention that grief yoga. Okay, self-compassion break. All right. So I think wintering is a call to treat ourselves with kindness. I think of it as an exhale for the soul. And we can do this whenever we feel like we are being very hard on ourselves, or others are hard on us, we're berating ourselves, we're feeling unproductive. We live in a society that is obsessed with productivity and goals. And this is a chance to check out of that for a moment and learn to give ourselves permission to rest and be gentle with our inner world and with ourselves. So I'm going to ask you once again to relax back wherever you may be. And I want you to think about a gesture of self-compassion, because you're going to work with this gesture. What do I mean? That could be your hand over your heart, or your hand over hand on your heart, right? It could be patting your own cheek. It could be gently but compassionately holding your own hand, patting your knee. This is a gesture that immediately triggers self-care, gentleness, and kindness. And for the purpose of this, I would like you to just make a choice that you can work with during this meditation practice. Okay. If it's available to you, once again, please close your eyes. And for the purpose of this teaching, I want you to pick a recent example of something that was very, and let's say challenging, and not something huge. I'm gonna talk in weight, a 10-pound weight, not 100 pounds. So you don't want to pick something that will pull the rug out from underneath you. You want it to be gentle, but it has a slight emotional impact. So whatever this event was, it created a little bit of frustration or confusion, sadness, disappointment, irritation. It could be work-related, it could be personal. I want to emphasize safety first, because that's important. So if you feel you don't want to do this, that's okay. Just stop, you're in charge, open your eyes, stand up, move. And the first thing that I'm going to ask you to do is recreate a situation that has this little bit of an edge to it, a little bit of an emotional impact. And you're going to recreate the situation in your mind, again, with some details, like what was happening, who was there, who, what, where, when, and why. What were people wearing? What were you wearing? What was said? What wasn't said? And just bring those details up a little bit for yourself. You're reliving it a little bit. And now that you have found this event, this example, this situation, I'd like you to say to yourself or out loud if you can, this is a moment of suffering. This is a moment of pain. This is challenging. This is difficult. I feel uncomfortable a little bit. I don't like it. And in this moment, I feel, and you can fill that in with whatever you feel. In this moment, I feel irritation, confusion, whatever it is for you. And then, now that you've established this experience and you've established and acknowledged how you feel about it, you can say to yourself, as you engage in this gesture of self-compassion that you chose, and I'm going to put my own hand on my heart, all beings suffer, all human beings suffer. All beings feel pain and face difficulty. As long as we are alive, we will experience challenges and we will experience difficulty to varying degrees and circumstances. This means that we're alive. It also means that we're not alone. We are not alone with these challenges. Community and all human beings experience this suffering. And now I would like you to repeat to yourself or out loud, may I be at ease with this. May I be at ease. May I be free from suffering and pain. May I be at peace. May I feel joy and happiness. May I feel safe and protected. May I feel safe and protected. May I awaken and be free. And when you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes if they're closed and come back to the screen. I'm going to suggest that you do this whenever you feel the need, for some support and self-nurturance and self-care. The more you practice it, the more natural it will feel. It will feel like you're giving yourself some inner self-kindness, understanding, and patience. And we could all use more of that. All right, the next slide, please. We're now going to look at calling your own internal support team. Your internal support team. And there's a couple of pieces to this, but for the sake of time, I'm just gonna go through it with you. So this is something you can do before you're going to take on a new project, before you might be doing some work, you have an important meeting, something that's a little bit nerve-wracking, like something that's making you a little bit nervous and anxious, but it's kind of new and you're feeling a little bit like you need some extra self-care. So yeah, let's just walk through this one. I'm going to ask you to just, again, sit comfortably as best you can and just center to your breath, just connecting to your breath for a moment. And I want you to just allow yourself to go inward and reflect. And the real nature of this particular reflection is you're building your own support team, inherently building that team for yourself. And in doing this, what you need to do is visualize 3 supportive beings. They could be humans, absolutely. They could be a pet. And these 3 supportive beings, they could be, in your life now or from the past. But there's something about them that you really admire. There's qualities they have, there's strengths that they have that you really, really admire. It could be their sense of humor, they make you laugh. It could be their perseverance, their kindness, their patience, their compassion. And these are the people or the beings that are in your corner. They got your back. They're cheering you on. They are so invested in unconditional love and unconditional support for whatever it is you're trying to achieve. They're happy for you. They're happy for your well being and your success. And these three beings, or, I want you to imagine that they are going behind you. They're standing behind you or they're sitting behind you in a semicircle. And they are literally cheering you on in your mind's eye, in your imagination. They may be saying things to you like, you got this, or you are going to do so well, or it's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay, right? We're here behind you and we're cheering you on. And these are the three beings that you can call on anytime, or others that come to mind whenever you need that extra bit of stability, whenever you need that sense of internal support. I think it's incredibly beneficial. I use this one a lot, to be honest, and I really like it. And the other thing I want to say too is the three beings in your support network, they could be people that you admire that are poets or artists or celebrities or political leaders, or people from our history, or it doesn't have to necessarily be someone in your life. I just want you to keep that in mind as well. So that is the calling on your internal support network reflection. So I'm about to finish and wrap up, but I'd like to do so. I started with a poem and I'm going to finish with one. And so the next slide is listening. I like the quiet on a winter's day. It has so much to say. It brings with it new ideas that ordinarily wouldn't come my way. Stillness, broken only by the whistle of a far-off train or the ticking of a clock. Stillness is when my mind and I never feel the need to talk. Eyes see more, thoughts are new, wonder plays a part. For in the stillness, I hear those things that are deep within my heart. I think winter is a reminder that both literally and metaphorically, that it's not a time of dormancy. I think it's a deep opportunity of preparation for things to come. I think all of us can recondition our mindset so that we can face winter with grace and patience, and the knowledge that spring will eventually return. I want to thank all of you. Happy holidays, happy wintering, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jory Morrow. This has been wonderful. Really, really appreciate this. We are going to call it a wrap now. I think, Jory. This has been a great opportunity for us to prepare ourselves. Yes, for the holidays and the winter, and always great to have you with us. So thank you so much, and I'm seeing lots of thanks in the chat as well. Let me thank as well, along with Jory Morrow, our series sponsor, TELUS, and mainly thank you to you for being here today. I will be posting, as Jory mentioned, a video of the webinar on our website sometime over the next couple of days, along with the slides that Jory provided to us. So you'll be able to download those and watch the video at any time. And don't forget that all of our webinars, public relations, art and neuroscience, preserving the mind, copyright, social media. We're going to do a new social media one in the new year, by the way. Artistic legacy preparation, identity theft, and fraud prevention are available on our website at canartnet.ca. So thank you again. Thank you, Jory. Until we meet again, we wish you happy, healthy, and creative days because, of course, creativity lives forever.